If you can hear this announcement, do not adjust your Aethervox. This is the Avalon Society Emergency Broadcast Network. High-ranking officials of the Guild are attempting to silence the voice of the people and subvert certain truths surrounding a number of historical events. What you are about to witness is a retelling of accounts surrounding the events which occurred at the end of May 1907 in the city of London, and the calamitous catastrophe that cast the city into chaos. So, sit back and listen closely to episode 1 of London Fall.
And welcome, my name is Michael, and I am the Dead Aussie Gamer, and welcome to Through the Breach Avalon Society London Falls. We've got an awesome game lined up for you guys as this series unfolds with some of my favorite role players from around the world. Let me, of course, introduce you to the star-studded cast that we have here for you today, starting, of course, with none other than Till from Dungeon Fog. G'day, Till. Tell us about yourself and what you'll be playing today for us.
Hi everyone. My name is Till. I'm the CEO and founder of Dungeon Fog, the online map-making tool. And I'm very happy to join this show because I'm going to play John Scarpati, an old, a little bit shady a professor of archaeology who is about to retire and is looking for his successor to hand over his shady network of smugglers and informants, and he might have found one, which you're going to meet later.
Very cool, very cool. And of course, assistant to Professor Scarpati is another one of our characters, being played, of course, by Anthony. G'day, Anthony. Tell us about yourself and what you will be playing today.
G'day, guys. I'm Anthony. I'm playing Bill and Westchester LaRoux. I'm a gremlin. I'm a scamp. And, with a long con.
Scamp with a long con. I can't wait to see what that long con turns up in this adventure. And of course, we also have the ever fabulous, ever wonderful, very curly Janet from World Anvil, playing Hortensia. Tell us about yourself and Hortensia a little.
So I am Janet from World Anvil, which is a world-building software and campaign management system, and it's pretty great. You should go check it out. And I'm playing Hortensia, who is, to give her her full name, Prima Donna Hortensia Fiddlewick. She is an opera singer and illusionist, because we are, of course, playing in a space where there is magic. Love it. And she, beyond the veneer of the bright stage, there are some things going on behind the scenes which can be very interesting to uncover in these this little series that we're going to be running.
Fabulous, awesome. And of course, next, of course, on our list to sort of also talk about the incredibly fabulous Mairi from Orkenspalter TV playing Ludovica. Tell us about yourself and the character you play.
Hi, I'm Mairi from Orkenspalter TV, and I'd like to say, the preeminent YouTuber Twitches for role-playing games, RPGs, tabletop RPGs in Germany. And I'm playing Ludovica Wilhelmina von Droste zu Möllenbeck, because if you go German, go full German. And yeah, she's not exactly alive, but she's still around, and she's a secretary and person taking care of everything no one else thinks of for this very special tiny society.
Yep, excellent. I'm definitely going to A, never say that full name, and B, I'm also going to remember that phrase when the undead turn around and say they're not alive, but they're still around. That's a fabulous way to describe them. And of course, last and certainly not least, from the great GM channel itself, Guy playing the role of Edward Sebastian Hargrave Montague. Tell us about yourself and the character we'll be seeing today.
Well, I feel I should actually point out, before we begin, and I'm just busy making sure that I have them here, I just need everybody, here we are, we're fine now. I need absolutely everybody, that's everybody here, and obviously everyone watching as well, because that's how it works. You all have to sign this non-disclosure agreement, which means that you're not allowed to talk about anything that you see here or understand as a result of our actions taken during this course. Unless, of course, it's on social media, in which case you can share it as much as you like, of course. Just don't say anything in that tweet, otherwise we will have to find you, and then you will be prosecuted to full extent of the law, of course, because that's how it works in terms of if one is going to follow the law, and also to unfortunately play with those that are not yet or have ceased to be living, or are small and green and slimy. But anyway, that's what that is. And yes, of course, I'm playing Edward Sebastian Hargrave Montague, a barrister of quite some skill, I should say, who is going to be very irritating, I think, until he gets shot. At which point, then it's absolutely fine, because I have an objection, you see, over here, which clearly says objection, so I can't be shot. Says so on the document, actually.
Yeah, let's see how that runs out. All right, so as always, all of the oh wait, I should introduce myself. Hi, my name is Michael, Dead Aussie Gamer, as per mentioned. And if you've ever watched any of my shows, you know that I don't like audiences to sit back and be observers to my fun and excitement. So I've got a whole bunch of really exciting donation-based rewards for you guys to influence the action as we play today's game. Now, Through the Breach is a card-based adventure game which involves flipping cards from the Fate deck so that we can see whether or not the players succeed or fail in their challenges. However, they can provide themselves opportunities to flip with an advantage or a disadvantage, and you guys can provide them an advantage or a disadvantage by donating 10 Australian dollars. And for that low price, you can help them overcome various encounters and catastrophes. For the price of 25 Australian dollars, you can create a plot twist. Our dear friend behind the scenes, Eddie, is of course ready and waiting to hear your plot twists, and he will sneakily send me ideas that I will then implement into the game post haste. And of course, last but certainly not least, for the grand old prize of $50, you get to create an NPC with Eddie, and we get to throw that into the mix of today's game. Which you absolutely will see more than once, because, I hate the idea of NPCs only showing up for once and then being, going away. But why donate at all? Why do all of this? What if I want to really stick it to the players? Well, guys, if we hit $100 earned in any stream, we are going to throw a boss monster at our group. This could be a giant robot. This could be a giant alien. It shows up. It's fun. It's awesome. It's terrifying, and definitely makes the stream a little bit more interesting. So if you do feel generous enough to, of course, help everyone out, then, of course, hit that donation button. Otherwise, the least we ask is that you press X in chat right now to sign Edward Sebastian Hargrave Montague's contract so that we may begin today's adventure. All right. So without any further ado, the scene opens up on the deck of the IMS Calvin. The fated are locked in an epic struggle. The sky above London, dark, and the air choked with the smell of smoke and salt water. A hard deluge of immeasurable magnitude falls in patches around the city. Water crashes and decimates the rooftops and cityscapes surrounding our poor vessel that floats aimless, being forced by the rapid currents through the very streets of London from the overflowing Thames. An emergency siren blares across this countryside over every radio and aethervox, and the fated stand on the starboard deck of this streamliner, surrounded by armed soldiers, as dozens of hideous amphibious creatures crawl out onto deck. The ship bolts hard to the right as you strike the side of a building. You hear the sounds coming from the upper deck. The ship's captain. All right, lads, keep the blighters off the wheel. Let's get everyone to flip initiative as we begin our tale. amidst this swallowed battle.
I should point out I don't like the rain very much.
All right. Let's see. So on our little list here, we have, starting from Ludovica, what initiative do we have?
I flipped mine, and that gets a +5. Oh, I'm really quick. 14.
Okay, 14. Okay. Then Billum, what do we have for our initiative?
I'm enjoying the rains. That's a total of a 6.
14, 6. All right. Professor Scarpati.
Well, that shaking is really putting me off. I can't really find my attention. I'm at a 4.
Oof, okay. Very well, at a 4. Edward, where are we?
6.
At a 6?
Oh, 7 in total, sorry.
Oh, 7. Okay. And Prima Donna Hortensia.
Well, this is all terribly stressful, and I'm at 5, and my hair's getting wet, and I don't like it.
All right. All right. Now, what you see in front of you, which hopefully should be on screen now, is, of course, these amphibious, speckly creatures with razor-sharp fangs. Now, they are boarding your ship in mass. They are moving swiftly and hungrily towards you. Ludovica, you are first on the initiative as the swallowed swarm begin to arrive.
Ludovica flips up her sopping wet widow's veil, draws, and she has already her pocket pistol in hand and screams over to the rest of the group. Remind me how we got into this again? I am not quite sure why I am doing this, and tries to shoot at the amphibious thing.
All right. So what you'll need to do is you will need to flip. Yep.
And I got a 12.
All right.
Masks even. Let me see if that even might be a trigger. That would be nice.
All right. 12.
Well, no. Unfortunately, that would have to be tomes. But still, that is a pistol 3. That is 15.
15.
Oh, no.
No, 15 is perfectly fine. However, you don't need to flip for damage in this case because as several of these creatures start charging towards you, their gait very similar to that of a gorilla, sort of moving with their upper bodies, sort of lunging them forward. Your pistol fires and finds purchase between one of their eyes. The creature slumps immediately to the floor, but a second, crawling over the body of its fallen comrade, begins to make its way towards you as well. You have 2 actions in your turn. What would you like to do with your second?
I shoot at another one of the creatures because there's not much space to go and hide.
Very well. Make your second attack.
Give me one card. Flip. Oh, it's a 13 of rams. So that's a 16.
Okay, a 16 of rams. With a 16 of rams, again, you fire as this one sort of leaps upwards to try and grab onto you. It shoots it in the chest and knocks it over the railing. It falls back into the water, and you hear this almost satisfying squelch as the side of the ship crushes it against the stone bricks. The creatures then get to move. As a collective force, they move, multiple bodies scampering and crawling over each other. They surround the group as they make their advance. The first, heading for what they think is the weakest, the small, innocent-looking gremlin. One of them pounces. Billum, I need you to flip your defensive jewel as this one jumps towards you.
Oh, Christ. Defense. What's that? We're looking at a total of 12.
12. With a 12, as this one leaps upwards to try and catch you, it just narrowly misses. Its hand scrapes along a pipe just above you and fills the air with steam from the engines. It hisses as the hot air suddenly blasts it in the face. Another one seems to move around and attack the next biggest one, which of course happens to be Edward Sebastian Hargrave Montague. This one seems to confuse you with some sort of turkey dinner and intends to plunge its teeth into your hide. Flip me a defensive jewel, if you would be so kind.
Ew. Oh, yes. Well, unfortunately, I'm busy raising up a little objection piece of paper, and so my defense is a grand total of 4. No, you can't attack me, actually. I work for the city.
All right. Believe it or not, are you actually going to be using your objection ability?
No, not yet.
Okay. So as you hold up the parchment of litigation, a claw tears through the sheet and into your body. You need to flip. Sorry, what was your total again?
4.
4. With a 4, that's 11. So the difference is 7. So that is a straight flip. So flip 1 card, and that is how much. Well, that'll be the determine the damage you take.
9.
All right, so that's medium damage. Your character suffers 3 wounds as the claw cuts into his cummerbund, splitting it off from his body, and the wound itself appears to have been covered in this kind of poisonous mucus. Your character is also poisoned.
Great.
All right. As we continue forward, it is now Billem's turn.
Oh God. They're bloody big. Professor, get out of here while you can. All right, I'll take care of this bunch. I'll pull out my fighting claw, and I'm gonna try and grapple on top of one of these big things and stab it a couple times in the head.
All right. As you pull out what looks to be a rather nasty and vicious-looking clawed weapon, you strike at this creature. Flip your attack if you'd be so kind.
That's an 11.
An 11 in total? An 11 in total is precisely what you need to hit. Now, in the case of Through the Breach, hitting exactly what you need means that you will flip 3 cards and take the lowest value to determine your gradient of damage. So, what are the 3 cards we get?
All right. That's a 5. Oh, I don't like that. That's a 2 or a 1. And that's an 8.
All right. Sadly, with a 1, however, that is weak damage. So, on your weapon, what is your weak damage?
I do a 1.
All right. You scratch and deal 1 point of damage, but these creatures, you realize, are a lot more weaker than you'd expect. As your claw stabs into them, it's almost kind of got the consistency of tapioca as your claw just cuts through this one individual, and it too falls to the wayside. You have a second action.
All right, well, I'm going to charge at the next closest one over and try and slide underneath it and garrote its stomach with my claw.
All right. You begin to move and duck. Make your attack as you go into a power slide. The deck is incredibly slippery, so you actually get a lot of traction from it as you slide between its legs.
That's a 15.
It does not see it coming as your claws rake its midsection and pull. Deal your damage, which is a straight flip.
Oh, yeah, that's 10.
All right. Another beast falls, tripping over itself and laying its blood all across the deck here. Next up, Edward, it is your turn.
I've been done in, I'm afraid. Also, prima donna, you shouldn't be wet. Your audience shouldn't see you in such a bedraggled state. But I'm poisoned. Does that affect me in any way?
It will affect you at the end of the round. You will take 1 point of damage unless someone may use the assist action to basically just sort of help scrape off the poison from your wound.
Ah, right. Well, in that case, is the creature still in front of me still alive?
There's a sorry. Yes, the one in front of you is still very much alive.
Well, then I think it is my legal and moral duty to point out to it that it's going to get shot. I'm going to
Okay.
try and shoot it.
Very well. Flip and make your attack as you fire your weapon.
7 plus that is 7.
7 flat. That's still fine. Because you've beaten it by 2, you beat it by a weak margin, meaning you flip 2 cards and take the lowest.
Well, there it is. There's the 1. We were hoping for that. So 2 points of damage.
All right, with 2 points of damage as your pistol fires, it is, of course, enough as the creature seems to be bearing down upon Edward, seeking to bite into his shoulder. It instead gets a mouthful of lead as your pistol blows out the back of its head. It falls down. The noise around you as the ship continues down the streets of London, banging on the sides of the walls as it sort of passes through. Several gashes in the building open up to reveal the interior of the buildings nearby. More of these creatures seem to be lurking behind the windows as they follow, running alongside the ship, keeping its eyes firmly fixed upon the prey in front of it. Hortensia, it is your turn. You seem to have lost your voice, my dear.
Beg your pardon. It's indignity for an opera singer to be muted. So I believe we've been employing some half measures here, picking off these fish one by one. So I am going to create a grand illusion at the back of the boat.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be something very delicious looking. It's going to be an opera singer. So I'm going to create a version of myself on the back of the boat, standing and singing and looking like a delicious morsel to be eaten that is very distracting.
Very well. As you are conjuring and casting an illusion, I'll need you to make a illusionary flip using your using a flip plus your statistic for conjuring illusions.
I will do that thing.
All right.
That is my flip. It is not wonderful.
It's not considered a duel, is it?
It is a duel. It is a duel, 100%.
Objection! Objection, Your Honor! I feel that was a bad representation of my client's capabilities as an illusionist, which I would remind all of you are under non-disclosure not to talk about in public, considering it's an unmitigated use of magic in public space. But it's an objection.
Very well. Due to
my lawyer, ladies and gentlemen, is all I could afford.
Now, due to the powers of your lawyer may discard a card from their Hand of Fate. The Hand of Fate, ladies and gentlemen, is a special gift that is given to each of our players that allow them to twist and bend fate at their whim. Edward has the ability to object to any duel that has occurred. We then ignore that result, and you get to try again. So, if you would, please, have another crack.
So I'm going to draw again?
Yes.
Not the whole deck, however, which is what I just picked up. No, just one.
That is a 6 of crows.
Well, that's better, certainly. They don't look like terribly intelligent fish.
Yes, however, as you are casting magic within the realm of Earth, it is quite difficult to cast it, and you require tomes as a suit on your card to be able to cast your illusion well. You may, however, use a card from your Hand of Fate to cheat fate and allow you to
I am going to do that. Enough of this namby-pamby fiddling around. I'm going to slap down a card, and I'm damn well going to get this illusion started, thank you.
All right. You watch the back of the ship as the aft slowly, almost seems like it sinks. What you see in front of you is the rising of an immense wedding cake covered in profiteroles that create these baubles around this very ornate dress. You can see the seams of a chocolate fountain pouring ribbons around this immense figure. And slowly but surely you watch as these delicacies, eclairs, sweetbreads, forming and creating this rather large, very, very attractive looking opera singer whose hair itself are swirled curls of Lindt chocolate dripping down as her ruby red lips made of strawberry jam begin to belt a famous aria from Hortensia's catalog.
Actually, what she's singing is yum 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 yum, come and eat me, yum 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 yum. So delicious, so nutritious, yum 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 yum.
With little restraint and a lot of reckless abandon, you watch as much of the swarm is very, very much captivated by this giant cake woman. They begin to mount an assault on this delicious profiterole person. They jump up and they try to dig their claws in, but seem to be struggling, as of course the grand illusion has them in its sway. Professor Scarpati.
Yes. Yes. It didn't take my assistant Billem's recommendation to find a way to retreat. I was already halfway to the next door, using my walking cane to stabilize myself while I'm hobbling over this shaking floor. And I'm trying to look for, is there deck crew on the deck? Are there still any?
Indeed, there are plenty of deck crew who are also using wrenches and pipes, bits of rope, and even their bare knuckles to try and fight against the horde coming at them.
Do I see the captain or someone who's like in charge?
Yes, indeed. Behind you is a second rise to this ship. Getting a good look at it, you notice that it is in fact a cruise liner, like a steam liner kind of thing, which has a platform just behind where you are that rises up to where the wheel is, and as well as an enclosed space. There you could see a rather, grizzled-looking sailor and a couple of his crewmen who are steering the ship through what they never thought they'd have to do, is the middle of the road. As they narrowly try to bank in order to follow not only the ever-rising rapids of freezing cold, frigid, icy waters, but also avoid the various cars and lampposts and things that are also in their way.
Would I be able to reach the captain within my round? Would I be able to get to him, or is that like more distance than I could?
No, absolutely. You can manage to crawl your way up to the second deck. There, the captain sees you. Oh, good work, lads. All right, Mr. Scarpati.
Captain. Yes, you know who I am, right? Don't you?
Aye, we do.
Well, very good. So, how many script will it cost me to get me and my assistant and probably the rest of the party that I brought off that ship in safety?
Right now, Professor, I'm trying not to have us crash straight on into a nearby building. Least of all, having these monsters come up. Hang on.
Well,
what's that ahead? He stops and he gestures out the front. You take a look. Make me a notice check as you gaze out the front of the ship.
I will do so. That is a 10.
All right, with a 10, you cast your gaze outwards, forward, and what you see in front of you sends a chill down your bone. It appears as though someone has created a barricade, a large stone wall that has been erected, made of ballasts of sand and basically these large sacks of heavy bricks. The ballast is stopping the floodwaters and rising just above the surface. If your ship hits this barricade at this speed, the entire front shall collapse, and you will all be sent on a very, very short trip into this water. He yells out, "We have to dodge, we have to avoid it!"
Can I help him? Can I help him turn the wheel? Like I assume that he's trying to pull on the steering wheel to get away from that, or
you kind of go to assist him, and well, quite quickly you realize why he can't turn away. There is, of course, this awful screeching sound as you suddenly list to one side, and it immediately collides with another one of the buildings. Everyone can make me an athletics check if you can, as the ship suddenly heaves, scratching against one of the sides.
Athletics would be a grace-based skill.
No, that would be a might-based
A
skill.
might. Oh, good.
Even worse.
Yes.
Athletics, you say?
All right, your target number is, of course, a 9.
I got a 4.
Well,
All right.
that's a shame.
All right. Anyone who failed to get a 9 is immediately knocked prone as you are thrown to one side. Anyone who got less than 4, that is not including 4, but anyone who got less than 4 is thrown overboard. Did we have anyone get less than 4?
No, I got exactly
I got
4.
a 1.
Wow, is that a 1 after you've added your bonuses?
That is a 1 after I subtracted my bonuses. Yes.
All right. So you hear the captain suddenly go, "Mr. Scarpati, what's with
Mrs.
Mr. Scarpati? John?" He kind of says, well, he yells down because he has no idea what's happened. He yells down to the rest of them. Listen, we're coming up on a right angle. We're going to try and turn onto that street, but we need to club hold the ship. I have to get one of you guys onto the port side anchor and let it loose. Do it now.
Michael, do we notice Professor Scarpati going over? I got an 11 on my athletics. So
Okay.
do I notice him going over the side?
Well, let's find out. Anyone who wishes to, keeping in mind, of course, that this is a game where you have a deck of cards, meaning that every check slowly makes it more stacked in the favor of either high or low cards. Anyone who wishes to may make a notice check amidst the battle to notice Mr. Scarpati and his recent dalliance away from the ship.
10.
Be lucky.
I'm still singing about cake.
Well, a 10 is actually okay. We've got a 13 and we've got a 10. What is our total notices on those?
That's a 14 on my end.
Nice.
18.
18. Okay.
Yes.
Very nice.
I see everything.
Very well. All three of you notice as when you struck the edge of the actual building, you notice that one of the creatures in one of the buildings was actually clinging onto it, Spider-Man style, onto one side. As Mr. Scarpati whisked past, it seems to have lashed out with a long and clawed tongue that sort of reached out like this almost bit of taffy and just pulled him from the cabin. He is being grabbed from the back of his shirt as he lunges backwards. You guys have a chance to interact before he fully leaves the ship. Any one of those three people may, on their turn, do something to prevent Mr. Scarpati's departure. In the meantime, however, we return to the top of initiative where we go to Ludovica.
Ludovica is prone and she sees Scarpati getting nabbed off the ship. What can she do if she's prone? Probably
Everything.
stand up
Prone
and
does not.
fire.
Yeah, prone only really hinders you if you attempt a melee attack action. Everything else is still well and truly within your capabilities of doing.
Then she gives a ladylike little oof. But she's got no breath to.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Or anything. She's basically fine just to live there now. We're losing a professor. Do we need him?
That's me. That's me, Professor.
Oh, yeah, your meal tickets. Then she tries to shoot the creature that's nabbing Scarpati, not thinking about the fact that he might drop to his death. She kills it, but
Very well. Make your attack as you fire at the one lone. Nice hit. Wow. Okay. You take aim with your pistol very carefully. Because keeping in mind, you are moving forward at the same time that you're approaching where this guy is. You're taking aim and trying to time it right, and bang, with a single shot, The bullet runs straight past the crewmen over the heads of the swarm and finds the rib of one of these creatures, which immediately lets loose a squawk like a parrot as it sort of falls into the water. Scarpati, you are no longer being pulled. You land hard on the deck. However, the clawed tongue is still attached to your back, and the weight of the creature, now dead, falling into the water behind you, is pulling you backwards along the deck. The swarm, currently biting and clawing, scritching and chewing at the illusion, can't seem to break free of the notion that there is food here. However, one of the nearby ones that is following on atop the building leaps for the giant opera singer and passes straight through her cake-like head and lands on the roof of the captain's second-story little enclosure. The claws digging into the roof. You hear the captain from below going, "Help! Get the anchor. Don't worry about us. But if you can, that's also not a bad thing." And that's all they do this round. Billum, it is now your turn.
Seeing the professor on the deck with the clawed tongue on his back, the first thing I'm going to do is run over that clawed tongue and try and sever the tongue from that thing's goddamn mouth.
All right, you rush over and you have your claw in hand. You sort of bring it down as hard as you can. There's a splurt of this green oozy blood as the tongue comes loose. Professor, you feel the tension no longer pulling you backwards.
You're right, Prof.
Yeah, wow, thank you, Willem. Thank you, Willem. I will not leave your side anymore. I think getting off the ship was my intention, but getting off the ship that way was not really my intention.
I wouldn't want to intend that myself.
Yeah, let's stick together.
All right. We then move on to Edward, your chest starts to feel this slight irritation, this burn as you take 1 point of damage from your poisoned injury.
I thought you said I'd take poison at the end of my turn. So I took 1 poison last turn.
Oh, sorry, no, it's at the end of the round. Technically, it would have been after Professor Scarpati.
Okay, all right. So
yeah, but once poison ticks down, it's gone. It's not an ongoing effect. It's just you are poisoned by a certain number. You take 1 damage every round until that number is depleted, which in this case was just 1. So,
are there any more of these creatures on the ship apart from the one on the roof?
One on the roof, and there's about a half dozen fighting various soldiers and sailors.
Oh, that's fine. They're not part of the contract. That's all right. And the captain is shouting to drop the anchor on the port side. I haven't got a clue what any of that means. I mean, what the hell is a port? Rather than that you have after a case. So I don't know. The professor's fine now. He's not being dragged off of the side of the ship. I will randomly shoot at one of these creatures, trying to make my way towards the prima donna, however far away she might be, because I can see that she's starting to look absolutely awful in this. So I'm taking off my coat so that I can give it to her, because the public can't see her in such a disheveled state.
Very well.
It would be bad for sales. So yes, I'm going to shoot at one of them and move my way over to the prima donna.
All right. As you watch Edward begin to huff his way across the deck, he takes shot at one of the creatures attacking the sailors. He
12!
Strikes. Wow. Yeah, he strikes. That is a straight flip for damage as your pistol. You almost don't even look. You're sort of like, it's kind of while you're taking off your coat, you sort of just and take a shot off to the side. It does indeed kill one of these creatures as it sort of rolls onto the deck. One of the sailors, sort of who has been battling this guy, looks at you and says, "Oh, gee, thanks, sir."
Prima donna,
looks very surprised.
You need to get out of this rain. It looks awful.
There is a Hortensia, Edward walks up to you with a coat that smells like very cheap cologne, soggy water and fish, and attempts to sort of enwrap you in this rather modest looking it's a rag at this point. I mean, because it's got rips in it. It's covered in blood. That's what he tries to, What's your response to this?
Go with my outfit. I elbow him in the nose as I continue my beautiful aria of so delicious, so nutritious. Yum, 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 yum.
Very well. Very well.
I have a question.
Yes.
We have 2 actions per round.
Correct.
I am maintaining an illusion.
You are maintaining an illusion. Maintaining
What
an
does
illusion,
that do?
so long as you do not dispel your illusion, the illusion is simply there. If you wish to interact with it in any way, that is to say, if you wish to change its shape, its form, what it's doing, then you would need to take an action to do so. Apart from that, it'll continue doing its thing until either it is dispelled or you are knocked out.
Okay, in that case, keeping one eye on my illusion, I would like to pull the pistol from my knickers and shoot a fish in the head.
Very well. Do you wish to shoot any particular fish or just
Yes,
wildly?
the one on the roof. There's a fish on the roof.
Very well. Now, this fish on the roof does have cover, as it is, of course, on the roof, and you are on the lower deck. You can make an attack, but it is at a negative flip as you attempt to attack it. So flip 2, take the lowest.
I don't care. Sounds like a fit excuse to me.
All right, not bad.
Come
Oh,
on. I shoot the fish in the head.
with the skill and grace of Charlemagne, you fire. And the bullet manages to strike the creature as it leans over the cabin, looking through the window, its mouth dripping with viscous ooze as suddenly it's just spread guts and gore over the window. The captain sort of says, "Get out there, soldier!" As one of these small intern-looking guys sort of says, "Yes, sir. Sorry, sir," and he sort of begins scraping all the guts off the front.
How do you think I became prima donna in the first place? The opposite is brutal.
All right. Having drawn your weapon and then fired, we then move on to Professor Scarpati. There's one positive sign of you being dragged across the deck, and that is, of course, you are now on the port side, not too far away from the anchor.
Well, I think I've heard what the captain shouted, so I will say, "Come on, Billum, help me. We need to lower the anchor." And I will hobble over to the anchor and I will try to release it. Is there anything in my way that I need to shoot on the way there, or can I reach the anchor?
No, not at all. You can absolutely reach the anchor. However, to activate it, you must either make an athletics check or an engineering check in order to try and drop the anchor.
Can I shoot the anchor? I will.
What weapon do you have? I'm not going to say no right yet, okay? But if you've got like a pocket pistol, I'm going to,
Yeah, no, I don't have a pocket pistol. I have a Gatling Derringer, which has a little bit of oomph. But still, it's like I will try my best to manipulate that thing with my bare hands. So you want me to do, what did you say, might?
An athletics. So yes, might if you don't have any ranks in athletics.
Yep. Oh, that is, I flipped a 10 minus 2, which is an 8.
Oh, very close. Very, very close. So close, in fact, that you actually managed to get it. As you pull on the lever and it suddenly drops into the water with a splash. It's sort of, you can hear it underneath the surf. As it's being dragged across the cobblestone, until suddenly you hear something catch, a crunch as it locks in between a light post and the door of someone's house. Suddenly, everything shifts 90 degrees. It turns as the strain of the ship pulls you to one side. The ship is almost vertical just from the arc that it spins in order to try and avoid the actual barricade. You smash and careen and they hear the scraping of the keel against the other side of the building as suddenly the actual anchor snaps and with a crash it readjusts and splashes down, having turned 90 degrees into an adjacent street. There's a big sigh of relief as the group cheers. Many of these creatures were thrown clean of the ship in this turn. There's
I would like to maintain a posture as if that was exactly what I was always intended doing, and I will lift my head a little bit and then lean onto the anchor mechanism, the lever.
very well. You do so.
A little
As-
warning next time, Professor.
Yeah, it was a close call. I had to decide quickly. Apologies, Lady Ludovica.
Apology
you-
accepted.
As the ship moves forward, there's almost a more peaceful current running through these streets. But there's something odd. There's a swell that causes the ship to suddenly rise almost to the rooftops of the buildings and then back down. Something moves, winding ahead. You watch as it reaches a parked area and turns. You watch as this creature rises out of the surf. At first, it gets to about halfway the height of the ship, then continues to grow till it is equivalent looking at you from the lower deck, and continues to rise even further to the second story, then the third, then the fourth, then the fifth. It looks over the illusion of the cake opera singer. This being, this giant eel, whom I will now share.
That's a big gator.
With a screech that rattles and shatters the windows, you watch as its jaw distends and opens into two fanged mandibles, its central shaft parting ways with teeth on either side, and hundreds of gnawing, gnashing maws concealed within the carapace of its grotesque eel-like body, its tongue lashing out as it lets loose a terrifying roar that just shakes you to your very core. The ship careens towards this beast, and it lunges heading towards you. That is when it goes dark. And we go backwards, finding ourselves 20 hours in the past, prior to the chaos, the anarchy. You are in the city of London at around 7 a.m. Each of you have begun the day as you normally do.
So, did you say 7 a.m.?
7 a.m.
Well, in that case.
Edward Hardgrave, you are awoken, as you are on most days, by your apartment rattling and shaking. The house that you stay in is beneath the rail line, and as the trains pass overhead at this time of day, there is a terrifying.
Objection.
Everything shakes. There is a knock at the door. You know to be the paper boy coming through his rounds.
He knocks every damn time, and I have asked him repeatedly, do not knock on the door. It is 7 a.m. 'Tis an ungodly hour.
All right. What do you wish to do?
Well, I'll get the infernal newspaper before my next door neighbor, Mrs. Thickwick, steals it. I'm convinced she's the thief.
All right. As you sort of get out of bed and don your somewhat casual attire, you make your way to the front door and open it, finding, of course, a newspaper. Just as an elderly woman seems to be trying to bend over to pick it up.
Mrs. Thickwick, you have foiled witch. Foiled it is mine.
Oh, it's you. I thought you died.
I wish you had.
So, I imagine that you are mixed up with all this nonsense about a protest, then?
Litigation is ongoing. I thank you very much to keep your nose, as large as it is, out of my business. Thank you, madam.
Oh, look at me, all fancy litigation. I remember not too long ago you were banging on the backs of ambulances trying to find work.
It worked, didn't it?
Only for this month's rent.
You will have your payment in full, I assure you. And
Mm.
of course, if you want to try and take me to court over the matter, you will find yourself in such deep amounts of paper that you won't have to steal mine every morning.
Oh yes, yes, no, I'm sure, and I'm afraid I could find Mrs. Ginger Snaps a more valuable representative than your paltry, trumped up self. She humps and she picks up her little floral apron, and with a flick of her hair, which drops some curlers onto the floor, she slams the door of her next door apartment.
I'm fairly certain that's a health code violation. Ha! I slam my door too, and then open it and go back inside, and then slam my door.
A few moments later, you realize that you've left the newspaper outside.
No! I'll go and get the newspaper. Again,
All right.
quietly, sneakily, so she doesn't hear me.
Very well. As you do so, you sort of take your newspaper in and begin your morning rituals. As you read, the newspaper seems to have one very poignant article. People fascinated by glowing man in the sky above London. 1 week on, people still have no idea why it's there and what it means. People predict that maybe it is the dawn of a new age of prosperity and hope for the industrialization of good London, UK. Yes, England. On separate other notes, usual drivel, people talking about boiling water in the Thames and people being attacked by mysterious bastards in the streets, usual stuff. As you sit and begin your morning rituals. Across town, Professor Scarpati, your morning ritual would normally begin with a delightful cup of tea that is very custom gained from you by a local seller. However, as you go to your pantry and prepare said tea, you notice that you are out, fresh out, in fact.
Ah, God damn it. Billum!
Eh? What?
Billum, did you forget to buy tea yesterday?
Forget isn't the correct word. I would maintain the idea that I never forget to get tea. I simply didn't get it.
Yeah, all right, I got you. Would you endorse the idea of getting me a tea now?
Yeah. You got any script? Fresh out.
Hey, yeah, well, here you go. Take a few script and buy me some tea. Bring me a newspaper if you're on the way out.
As you command.
Yes, I do.
Billum takes the small purse of money and begins to make his way out. The journey is not too far away, about a 15-minute walk, but it's through a rather notorious area of London. You make haste, but this early in the morning, you don't imagine any of the ne'er-do-wells are up and about yet. In fact, you're barely up and about. As you begin to make your way around the streets, many people recognize you. Despite being a gremlin from Malifaux, you have ingratiated yourself among many members of the community, having grown up in these mean streets. The baker waves at you and sort of says, "Morning, Billum.
Yeah.
Out for the professor today?"
Yeah, he needs his tea.
Oh, he does he? Well, if you want, I've got some bear claws here. They're apparently an American dish.
Bear claw?
Yeah, yes.
Bear claw?
You know what? I don't trust what these Yanks bake, but here, try this. Let me know what you think. He hands you two pastries that almost look like bread cauliflowers covered in sugar.
Take both of them and try to fit them both in my mouth.
He sort of chuckles. He sort of chuckles and sort of, has a bit of a kind of a rolling giggle as he watches you try to fit these two bear claws in your mouth. He says, "Well, you take care, lad, yeah?"
Aye.
You continue on your way towards the shop, sugar now caking your face almost like a white beard. You catch a glimpse of yourself in the reflection of a nearby shop, and for a moment you mistake yourself for a gentleman of Professor Scarpati standing.
Oh, I could be a gentleman. Look at me. Oh, chuffed up with a mustache.
Meanwhile, on the docks near the Thames, there's a mist that rolls in this time of morning, making it difficult to see more or less anything this time of day. There, a woman dressed in black, Ludovica, is meeting with a rather salty individual about a particular business. All right, madam. It appears as though that will be the last of the shipments we put aboard this here vessel. Are you sure you don't want to get aboard yourself? I'm sure the sailors would welcome the company of such a distinguished woman.
I very much doubt that. And no, I have made a reservation on another vessel. Now, please go about your business and take care of these things.
He takes off his hat and he says, "At your pleasure, miss." All right, begin to hoist, as he makes his way over to his ship. The last of the belongings to Professor Albus von Stuck have now been loaded safely from the London office onto this vessel en route to Santa Fe. You're not entirely sure how the journey will go with such a reliable crew, but things have gotten dangerous in London. As you make your way back towards back to your I suppose place of work.
Yes.
Although decommissioned, you notice that there are lots of people walking around dressed in red attire, uniforms of the guild. The guild is known for many things. Their tolerance for those who were less than alive is not among them. You quickly try and find a way to move past. Now, as you travel through the streets, how does Ludovica hold herself? How does she present herself openly?
Ludovica walks very upright, very proper. She's got her big handbag with a weapon hidden inside, and she's wearing all black with a widow's veil to hide her unnatural paleness, the fact that her eyes are glowing from inside with a greenish mist. And she's moving very purposefully with the constant clack, 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 clack of her heeled shoes.
Very well. What I'd like for you to do is, can you make me a stealth check as you just, not so much that you're hiding, but more that you're just actively trying to move around and avoid these men, these soldiers in red coats.
Certainly. Stealth check coming up.
Oh,
That's a 12 plus 3, 15.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You find it very easy to walk past these individuals.
I even sneak in a cheeky good day, sir. Good morning.
You see a couple of people go, "Yeah, good day, ma'am." Yep, and they continue to kind of notice their kind of duties. Right now, you can notice that they're really focused more on this light in the sky. As you are in the main streets, looking up, you see this glowing ember that burns almost brighter than a star. This time of day usually would have a certain din to it, but with the orange light wafting from this whatever it happens to be, it almost looks like it's early morning, about 10, 11 o'clock instead of the wee hours of dawn. Suddenly you are approached by someone who is in a little bit of a hurry, being a little bit tardy, but not too tardy, fashionably late, some may say, to an appointment, an early breakfast with a potential client. A rather attractively dressed woman for this time of day. Hortensia, what is your current appearance as you are making your way through the streets of London?
Well, one always likes to dress to impress, so my hair is coiffed, as you see. And, well, it's a little early for sequins, but I am wearing a sort of beautifully fitted coat. What season are we in?
Well, I would say that it is April, and given that my country
And an
is
umbrella.
everything
I live
backwards.
in London.
Thank you. You've got to tell me what the weather's like.
Right. So expect rain and some sun, and then some rain, and then some rain. So I have an umbrella at my side, and I suppose it's not currently. No, it's not currently raining. But as I say, dressed to impress, a fine red light woolen coat and a very sturdy looking umbrella. Definitely
Excellent.
no blood flecks on it. Definitely not.
Hortensia, you recognize a rather darkly dressed woman making her way through the streets, equally moving with a certain grace that is all too familiar to you, a long-time acquaintance of yours, Miss Ludovica Drostzu Mollenbach. No? Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, pretty close.
Yes. Do you approach? What would you like to do?
Of course I do. I'm fairly statuesque lady, so I sort of bustle over and I slip my arm in hers as she walks along, and I say, Ludovica, darling, how are
Yeah.
you?
As the same as always. Things
No need to
don't
be alarmed,
change
only
much.
little me.
Have you noticed? No, you probably haven't. With if you tip your head back far enough that you can look past your coiffure, have you noticed the astronomical phenomenon?
Oh, the bright light. Well, all lights are bright in my line of work, Yes, it's quite something to see. What do you think? I've heard the wildest speculations you wouldn't believe.
I haven't heard any speculations at all. I've been up all night working, and this didn't factor into any plans. You didn't think that this is a bit foreboding? The color, the fact it appeared overnight?
Oh, I don't know. As I say, bright lights in my line of work, that usually means you're doing something right. Spotlight should always be on you, darling. But
Is the spotlight usually just appearing in the sky? With
in my experience, yes. I sing, the lights
true,
shine.
true.
As she sings, you watch as what appears to be a faun or a satyr to some suddenly appears with what appears to be a small lantern, and it's in a glass jar, and it seems to point directly at Hortensia, putting a spotlight directly in her area.
Yeah, I will never get used to that.
What can I say?
Shoot, shoot.
The faun sort of looks at you and goes, as it then turns into glitter.
Star quality, darling. You can't manufacture that.
You can hear as
Well,
you can hear as you do this, some people sort of going, "Oh, do you see that? I think that's the prima donna Hortensia Fiddlewick." Ooh.
Oh, it's so embarrassing to be noticed in the street. Oh, how embarrassing. Oh.
yes, incredibly embarrassing.
The
Well,
two-
where are you headed, dear?
Well, I thought I'm down to my last Roma fizz, it's like a Bucks fizz, but with coffee. One has to, treat oneself now and then. So I thought I would go find myself a few supplies.
Oh, fine. Well, what do you use that for? Do you wrap it in your skin or treat your hair?
No, darling, it's for la voce, la voce. Oh, oh. But
Okay, yes.
enough of that. I could accompany you.
Well,
I don't think you want to go where I'm going.
Well, as you do so, you are very quickly approached by a messenger, Miss Fiddlewick. It's a very out of breath, small little messenger boy who arrives and says, "Miss Fiddlewick, Miss Fiddlewick, sorry, madam." She looks to Ludovica, "Madam, message from your publicist, madam."
Trials of work.
As you open it, there is a message which reads something along the lines of, "Dear prima donna, elegant, graceful, wonderful, amazing, stupendous, talented prima donna, I hope you have not forgotten our previous engagement this morning for breakfast as we discussed the matter of the guild shutting down the opera house in the wake of your premiere launch of your latest opera. I've already arranged for a message to be sent to Mr. Hargrave Montague to meet us there at your earliest convenience. Yours sincerely, Jeremiah Hugh."
Dear, what a bore. It hasn't been like this since Cromwell. Filthy Puritans. Well, let's see. Can perhaps you could lend me your assistance, Ludovica? Or are you terribly busy with all of that, you know, nonsense that you do?
Well, I finished up my nonsense early this morning, and the meeting with the man who's going to take me out of the country is going to be later today. So I think I might be free for a few hours before I say goodbye for the next years.
Oh, nonsense to all of that. Of course you're going to stick around. My new show is coming out soon, and on that matter, you must come with me because there's some horrible, repudious little man who wishes to shut the opera house. As if we could live without art. As if that is possible. So come with me, and we must shut this down immediately.
So
because
Hortensia
honestly-
begins to create this massive spiel about why the opera house shouldn't be shut down. As Ludovica very patiently listens and walks as well. Back at the house of Professor Scarpati, you are still waiting for Billum when suddenly your window rustles and there's the sound of pecking.
Now, what's that? And I walk over to the window.
You see in front of you a crow, or more specifically, a raven. This raven bears a strange insignia, the insignia of an A being enwrapped by a serpent.
I do remember that insignia, right?
Indeed, you do. It is a insignia of the Avalon Society, a secret organization to which you belong. Belonged, my apologies.
Right. So I would be like, I think I left that behind. What do they want? And I will open the window to let the raven in.
The raven doesn't fly into the building, but instead simply corrects its posture so that it is now on the sill proper. As it does so, it opens its mouth, and you hear a voice, almost like a radio, emitting from the back of its neck. Dear Professor Scarpati, as a former member of the Avalon Society, you have served with great distinction to our organization for many years. For that, we are truly grateful. But in the light of the recent anomalies surrounding London, the strange, almost supernatural presence that seems to hang like a mist in the air, we once again will ask if you would reconsider returning from retirement. In these troubled times, a man of your wealth and experience would be an invaluable resource to the days to come. Please, we urge you. A rally is to be conducted this afternoon outside of the Opera House. There, one of our agents, Nolan Trelawney, will be in wait. Please, we hope you would consider going. Yours sincerely, and then there is no from whom.
Yeah.
The raven then sort of digs under its wing and flutters about.
Yeah, I will shoo him away and
As it
close the window while I'm muttering to myself, wow, they can be so nice if they want to, but if they don't want to, they convince you to leave the society because you're too old for them. And now they're coming back. Well.
Billum, at this point, you enter the home with your tea in hand. Sadly, the frog.
I got the tea.
You got the tea. Well, and I've got news. So why don't you cook up the tea and I tell you something about a visit of an old friend, I would say.
All right. What? White and no sugar?
Yeah, as always, Billum. As
All right,
always.
white and no sugar. I'm going to have mine with like 5 sugars.
Yeah, I expected that.
Professor Scarpati, you also noticed the speaking of sugar, the rather large beard.
Yeah, I will completely ignore it, though. It's like, yeah, that's Billum. And I would be like, Billum, remember the last time we went to the opera?
When the big organ came up and I jumped him? Yeah. That was a good day.
I've got invited to meet a fellow over at the Opera House, and I think this is one of those invitations where it would be a bad idea to reject it. So why don't we make our preparations for visiting this friend, Mr. Trelawney, later that day?
Is this the kind of visit where I strangle them? Or is it the kind of visit where I stab them? Or is it the kind of visit where I hide in the rubbish?
We will see. I'm not sure. I'm not certain yet. Given the fact that I remember what those folks were about when I was kind of working for them, it might be all of those situations in non-particular order, but we will see. Let's get prepared, I would say.
I'll pack the explosives.
Thank you. That will be very helpful.
All right. So, as Billum prepares the tea and the explosives, Billum, I would like you to make me a culinary check as you try to prepare the tea. And Professor Scarpati, I would like you to make me a history check as you prepare to meet this rather mysterious benefactor. Well, I say mysterious.
Yeah.
Culinary is a intellect.
Culinary, I believe, would be charm. It's about using flair and finesse and being able to woo the food and drink into submission.
In that case, I completely mix up the ratio of milk and water, and I put like a fingernail's width of water and a whole cup of milk in.
Yep, he's basically giving you a tea-flavored milkshake.
Yeah.
As you've done this, Mr. Scarpati, what's the
my history check is 14.
14, very nice. All right, with a history check, you recall that of course there is a person that you know within the opera scene. If there, of course, is a riot or any kind of protest that is to happen there, it will not, of course, happen without the knowledge of prima donna Hortensia Fiddlewick, someone of which you are acquainted with. You know from your history check that she frequents a very lovely breakfast place called El Aroma, which is a small little cafe. If she is, of course, out and about for her morning ritual, she will definitely stop there for an aperitif and some small eggs Benedict, or whatever she enjoys.
Has it already been publicly announced that the opera has been taken over by the guild? Is that common knowledge, or is that really
It is
new?
not. It is not common knowledge. You specifically from your history check have become privy to the whispers that have happened around of the guild who have recently arrived in London and who have begun to make moves against people.
So it would be in my interest to probably talk with Lady Hortensia about that to kind of bolster the knowledge I already have about that.
Indeed.
Okay, perfect.
Meanwhile, in the cafe, Edward, you have obviously been sent an invitation to attend at El Aroma a meeting with the prima donna due to your rather substantial investment in an opera show that is no longer going to be premiered due to the fact that the guild has, decided that it is too dangerous for public gatherings of such and have sealed off the theatre district. As you prepare to leave, you are confronted and greeted by two guild officers who are apparently fixing bolts to your door, as well as to, of course, your neighbor. Morning!
Why are you fixing bolts to the door?
Oh, sorry, didn't realize that that you were here, Squire. Did you want to be locked in or locked out? Locked in or
Neither.
locked out? Oh, well, I'm afraid this puts us in a rather predicament. Let me just get this for you, sir. As he pulls out what appears to be a guild notification as signed and sealed by the Lord Mayor. It says that all peoples remaining within the City of London who do not choose to vacate their property shall have the building sealed in order to prevent looting and larceny. larceny. Anyone choosing to may also be sealed within their house to allow for safety in the midst of a variety of strange goings on until guild notifications are once and for all concluded.
Right. Well, look here, young man. I happen to work for the. Well, I used to once was. I'm a barrister, so I will make sure that whatever this thing is that you're doing is going to stop right now on my property, particularly. I can't leave. There's a crisis going on at the moment. You don't understand. The prima donna isn't in the headlines of today's newspaper. Look, it's about this stupid glowing man or some sort of nonsense or ridiculous. She's only at the bottom of the bloody page. This is an absolute travesty. I have to deal with that first before I can deal with whatever nonsense you're talking about. I'm not going to be leaving my home, and certainly no one would want to ever commit any kind of last.
I see, sir. But you see,
No.
if you wish to file a formal complaint, you can head down to the guild outpost.
Yes, I know the process. Thank you very much. You don't have to tell me about a job.
Very well.
Best put it on the inside then.
Oh, right, sir. Yes, no, we can manage something like that. You, with a huff, sort of turn your back on these guild swine and walk away. The two of them look at each other and say, "Do you remember what he said? He said, make sure that we do it right, otherwise he's going to get the law on us. Oh, yeah, better make sure we lock it up good and tight." They then continue exactly what they were doing and lock the door from the outside, as they have completely forgotten what Edward has said. Edward, you make your way to the cafe, where, of course, a man, a rather distinguished gentleman, seems to be sitting there awaiting your presence. He has laid out in front of everyone, in front of several chairs, coffee, some biscuits, and some toast, some bacon, a continental breakfast.
You've seen the Times.
Yes, I have. Please have a seat, Edward. We need to talk.
I should say we need to talk. Absolutely.
Yes.
Prima donna, how are you doing? I hope you haven't seen the Times.
Oh, darling, I never worry about the time. The time worries about me, darling.
Listen, I can't stress enough how urgent this matter is. I'm sorry, madam. He sort of tips his top hat to Ludovica as he invites you. Please join us.
Ludovica kind of shoots the prima donna a look that says, "What did you drag me into?" But then sits down very proper. Veil still in front of her face.
Sit next to me, darling. Sit next to me. Yes, absolutely. This is my dear friend, Ludovica Droster zur Mühlenbeck. And she's my confidant. She's a wonderful woman, very witty, a little chill, but simply marvelous. She must take part. After all, I think the most important thing to remember is the show must go on.
Yes, that's just the thing, prima donna. The show can't go on. The guild has forbidden it, and I understand. I understand that there is a substantial amount of investment going in, and of course, it is to my deepest regret to inform you. I'm simply the publicist here. Now, I know that you expressed potentially the start of a protest formally opposing the cessation of activities in the theatre district, but I need to stress, prima donna, you are in no condition to present yourself in such an open and public space. There are dangers that I mean, Mr. Montague, I'm sure you can attest to this sort of thing. It's insane. She can't.
Well, no, absolutely. I've filed with the city to have a stage built in front of the Opera House so the prima donna would be seen more clearly. If she just stands on the steps, she's going to blend right in. Look at the photograph in the Times, at the very bottom, She needs to be at the top, of course. Now, I've also initiated objections and litigations within the guild itself, which may take some time to process, of course. But the opera is absolutely vital to the health and safety of the city.
Indeed, and the economic well-being. The opera is the heart of the whole of London. What are we, Milan?
No, prima donna. I understand this, and oh boy,
Well, what do I pay you for, you trumped up little man? Go and fix this.
You pay me to keep At this point, Professor, you and Billum arrive at the cafe. There's a trumped-up-looking French waiter. However, the French waiter looks a little bizarre. He is kind of short for a waiter, also green, with pointy ears and no nose. It's a gremlin. As it approaches, as you approach, Billum, he gives you a very knowing wink as he says, "Ah, bonjour, madame and monsieur. Welcome to whatever this place is called. I believe you have a reservation. Yes, Bellum, it's me, Larouche. Ah, I found a job. Yes, it is a good one. It is paying. It is paying so well.
Keep it down. You're going to get me caught.
Ah, yes, of course. Yes, so my rather tall and Italian friend. I trust that you have a reservation somewhere. Yes, you are here to see very important people with very fat wallets. Yes, tip rather largely. Yes.
You can put it that way, but have you seen the prima donna Hortensia here? I think she is here at the moment. Can you point us to a table?
Ah, yes, of course. We will. When the moment, he seems to walk off for a second, and then moves closer. You can definitely hear an outraged prima donna sort of having a conversation at a table nearby. But more importantly, you watch as as there's kind of almost like this moment of outrage that seems to be happening, where a couple of the wait staff seem to be kind of arguing as, should we approach? No. Do you know who that is? That is the prima donna Hortensia Fiddlewick. Do you want to go anywhere near her when she's so close to the cutlery? No, I do not. Okay, very well. And they're just kind of avoiding things. You watch as LaRouche returns with what looks to be a stepladder, and he sort of climbs up it. As he gets to about Scarpati's height, he looks around. He says, "Ah, oui, there she is, right this way. If you want, I can lead you to her."
I can find my way. I can find my way there. Billum, if you want to stay behind and chat with your friend, I'm fine. I will head over to the table now.
Oh, but monsieur, maybe I could take your jacket as well. Yes.
Nah, no, you're not taking my jacket.
Darn. I mean, yes, no, this is okay. Perfectly fine. I understand this is very brisk day today. That is okay. As you then make your way over to the table, Billum, do you accompany the professor, or do you stay with LaRouche?
I will accompany the professor because I will not miss my chance to possibly pickpocket these fat cats.
Very well. As you walk past, LaRouche says, "Now remember, 50-50, eh?"
He already has that agreement with me.
Oh. 50-50-50, eh?
50-50.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. And he goes about pouring glasses of water into other glasses of water. He's not really making any progress. He's just, he's occupying his time. All right. As Jeremiah begins to apologize, I'm sorry. Look, I'm your publicist. All I care about is that you remain safe. The image and the brand that you represent. I mean, what if someone has a potato and throws, a tomato and throws it at you? That's going to reflect poorly on everyone. I just can't say that with the security that we have right now that I can suggest that you stand in front of a crowd and address them against the guild. At this point, Professor, you arrive at the table.
Yeah, I will make my appearance in front of Mrs. Fiddlewick. I will bow very deeply, take her hand, breathe a kiss onto her hand, and says, "Oh, prima donna, it's a pleasure to meet you again." And I will look at the table. I will see Ludovica sitting there and Mr. Montague, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep, you see.
I will tip my hat to Miss Ludovica. I will say, "Pleasure to see you again." Oh, and Montagrave, you're there as well. Well, that's great. That's great.
Right. Montague, sir, but that's all right. Absolutely. What a surprise to see you here.
That's what I've
brings
said.
You?
Yeah. Well, I heard that Miss Fiddlewick is here today, and I thought, well, I might pop in and say hello. Also, I've heard some rumors about the Opera House and who else?
What rumors? And maybe keep your voice down.
Yeah, I will keep my voice down if you move over a bit and let me sit down.
Yes, of course.
Okay, thank you.
Now, the rumors that Scarpati shares are, of course, rumors that the guild has been planning a move against England for quite some time. That, in fact, something has gone awfully wrong in Malifaux. For those of you who don't know, Malifaux is an alternate dimension that exists well known among the people of this world. Magic, such as the type that Hortensia wields, is commonplace, but only through the assistance of a special gemstone known as Soulstone. As long as Soulstone remains in this world, magic hangs on by a dwindling thread. It is the source of innovation, power, electricity, locomotion. All of it is powered by the presence of Soulstone mined from Malifaux. Now, news from Malifaux is very hard to come by, as once you go into the alternate dimension, very few people return willingly. It's not a holiday location. It is a place where, even convicts are sent to go and mine the rare ore. But every now and then, news does travel back to the more adventurous sorts. And the news that you have heard is that the guild is in a state of affairs. Something has occurred with the Governor General back in Malifaux, and the guild has started to solidify its power, not only there, but on Earth as well. People in King's Cross, whom you are very well acquainted, have said that train upon train of soldiers from America bearing the guild insignia have begun to flood into London, and have started to instigate martial law so quietly and so sneakily that no one is even sure if the crown is aware of their activities. The king's empire is in peril, and it's the world's quietest war for some people.
You see, now they're making their appearance in front of the Opera House, and I was so looking forward to hear you again, Miss Fiddlewick. It was a great pleasure the last time, and it's a shame that they are now making their move directly upon the Opera House here in London. So fill me in with the things that I might have missed. I'm very curious about what's going on here.
Well, quite frankly, it's travesty. And not a La Traviata travesty.
Ooh.
Honest to God,
Oh.
travesty. They're trying to close the Opera House. They're trying to prevent large gatherings. And frankly, if the opera doesn't go on, I don't even see the point of calling this London anymore. It's just, it won't do. So we must prevent this at all costs. And of course, the Guild are a grabby, filthy, disgusting little lot. Trying to keep all the magic for themselves, as if the people don't need magic in their lives as entertainment, as beauty. For what is beauty but truth? And what is truth but beauty?
No, I'm not going to get into that argument. No.
So what are you going to do about that?
Well, I look at my publicist. I look at Montague. And I say, I think I'm going to act like an American and cause a big hoo-ha.
Yes, although we might rewrite that little speech of yours. As insidious, perhaps, as we all might agree the Guild may appear to be on the surface, I don't think mentioning them in this debacle is particularly valuable for our cause, prima donna. I love the part about truth is all about beauty, and only beautiful people should tell the truth, and all that sort of wonderful thing. I think that's absolutely fantastic. But the part about the Guild, I think we can drop from your speech. And yes, we're trying to have a stage erected of some kind on the steps of the Opera House, but litigation is taking time on getting the right permits for that, Professor.
Yes, but more importantly, we need to ensure the prima donna's safety more than anything else. And truth be told, so many people here have left the city or even are in the Guild's pocket. How are we to truly know who is going to look after the prima donna during such an open public spectacle?
Well, Billum,
Is she in any
that sounds
danger?
fun.
Well, of course. Of course, there is a strong sense of danger.
But why?
I'm not talking
Just-
about the sense of danger. I'm talking about actual danger.
The guild are not well known for their light-handedness. And, well, again, any gathering of people who are frustrated is a powder keg ready to explode. And now
Was
if pardon, sorry, my friend. Please continue.
You said cake.
Yeah, he said
Keg.
cake. I've heard it too.
No, powder keg. It's an American euphemism, meaning gunpowder stored in a barrel, then for some reason becomes a keg instead of a barrel.
Oh, you
Yes,
want
no.
a bomb?
This is my point. There are people in the streets carrying explosives. Please, at least for my well-being and my safety, think about at least bringing someone into your entourage that at least can protect you to some degree from ne'er-do-wells in this crowd.
Look,
I
young
look-
little fellow, I didn't catch your name. It's
Oh,
not
sorry.
important.
Oh.
No, it's not important. Just listen.
Okay.
I have a personal interest in having this little show in front of the opera house, and I will stand up and stand for the security of Miss Fiddlewick myself, and with my little assistant here, who will be very good at that stuff. And
I'm still
no,
interested in his
Montegrave,
name.
I'm not going to sign another contract.
It was going to simply be a very small little agreement between two desperate parties in terms of a small an exchange of security for a sum of payment, sir. Nothing special.
I think Miss Fiddlewick knows that my word stands, that I'm standing for my word, and that will suffice for her knowing that we will protect her.
Indeed, Professor. I've seen your work. Well, I appreciate your assistance.
It's
The
going to be an
opera
honor.
will be ever in your debt.
Ludovica, you had something to say?
Ludovica just threw in like a line like, yeah, I think his name matters. Don't you want to know who you're dealing with? At least
Me?
so.
No.
At least,
I'm
at
dealing.
least so small wig, and she thumbs over at Montague, can set up the papers.
Yeah.
Again, I don't think we need papers for protecting Miss Fiddlewick, and I can identify a lackey if I see one. So let's keep this sharp.
She looks over at Montague. I'm afraid you will not be able to avoid the papers, looking at how happily he's scritching away.
Oh yes.
Yeah, no.
I imagine. Edward, can you make me a bureaucracy check real quick?
Absolutely.
Keeping in mind, you do get a positive flip on bureaucracy, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, so I get 2 flips, that's right.
That's correct. Well, that's a 4 for your highest.
I'm going to cheat. I'm going to cheat fate and substitute 9 of rams instead.
Okay. All right. With the Knight of Rams, you can see that on a napkin, he has very eloquently put together the perfect litigation that has allowed for you to serve as intermediary protectors of Hortensia Fiddlewick during the period of time of the date starting from this morning and finishing, of course, tomorrow at dawn. During the period of times from A to B, you are obliged to the protection and the well-being of the prima donna, or pain of litigation. Doesn't seem too untowards, and it's more or less what you wanted to do anyway.
It's very, very grumpily. I will sign it just to have Hartigue shut up about.
You watch as Mr. Hughes sort of sort of far as his eyebrows, he's like, well, it seems like there's no stopping you, prima donna, and far be it for me to waste an opportunity. I will send out notifications and I will ensure that the rally is successful. But once you are there, I leave it in your capable hands. You are the voice of the people, and it will come down to you to spur their discontent and turn it into something of hope. I truly wish you luck.
I will not lead luck, but thank you, dear boy.
Madam, you see, he sort of stands, rises. I have much work to do and no time to do it in. He puts his, sort of tips his top hat, and he folds a couple of notes into the bill, which will cover everyone's breakfast, and he will leave. Now, Billum, you can throw that up again.
Can I bump into him as he's leaving? No.
You can.
Give him a slip. I would like to
Like to pickpocket him?
physically bump into this man and slide my hands blissfully into his pocket.
All right, make a pickpocketing check as this guy basically stands up, very nervously walks past, and as he bumps into you, he even apologizes to you. He says, "Oh, I'm terribly sorry. I'm a little bit out of my head. What did you get for your pickpocket?"
That is a 9. I'm going to substitute that.
Well, hold on. Before you substitute it, a 9 is fine. A 9 is actually enough. This guy is not a trained spy. He's not a soldier in any way. He is a publicist. He is a pencil pushing bookworm. He does not notice as you have basically just very casually slipped in and pulled out his wallet and earned yourself a grand total of 6 script from his wallet.
Excellent. I'll sit back down. Oh, I'm sorry about that. It was a little slip of mine.
By the way, I'd like to take everyone's attention and just point towards Mr. Scarpati and just acknowledge that that withering gaze that he seems to be giving Billum. So you guys have this period of time. You may discuss any details you would like to do before we move to the riot. Scene is yours.
Well, I'd like to inform you just quickly that I'm going to be leaving the island later this day. This evening,
tomorrow.
I think. Tomorrow. That I'll be leaving the island tomorrow.
Whatever for, darling?
Have you noticed the many people in guild's livery?
Well, yes, I suppose.
And you do know their stance about the not
unique
exactly
condition.
living.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, of course. However, they don't appear to be the most intelligent of people.
Yes, but I do have a basic grasp of math, and statistics say that even if people are dumb, if there are enough of them, one of them will notice.
Maybe just a little bit of blusher. I don't know. Well, darling, I need you around. You must stay.
Blusher. Well, what do you need me for exactly, Hortensia?
Companionship. I look down at her clothes. Dress advice. Me to you, obviously.
Thank you very much. That is most generous of you, but I'm afraid that I'd rather avoid bodily harm. And no matter how fancy the dress, if there is less body to dress up, I'd rather stay as whole as I am now.
Oh, darling, I should positively die if you leave, but
No, you don't. No, you
let's
won't.
see what happens.
Please.
Yes,
No,
Montague, what is it that you wish to say with that grubby little hand of yours in your wig?
Well, I well, I'm so pleased that you actually noticed that I had raised my hand, prima donna. It's only been 10 minutes. I wanted to say, Madam Molenbeek, that firstly, in our august company, you did sign that non-disclosure agreement. I have it here. So your status, as it were, is quite safe with us. And I'm fairly certain that for a trifling fee, which perhaps the prima donna might afford, or your fine self, I could possibly generate a document for you, which very, very much affirms that you are alive, even if that's contrary to perhaps the taking of a pulse or the pallid touch of your sort of naked flesh, as it were.
Do you talk, the touch of my naked flesh is nothing anyone else is going to feel, and you certainly not. And I do have papers that say I am licensed. Let's put it that way.
Oh, well, then what is the consternation? I don't understand. If the prima donna wants you here and it's going to make her happy, I think it's the duty of every upstanding citizen to then make that happen.
What for? Has the prima donna suddenly been voted into parliament?
No, but she's an artiste. Didn't you hear a truth story?
Just give me time, darling. Just to give me time. However, I do believe the most important thing right now is to discuss my performance, which will be upcoming
Go on.
tonight, as it is. What are your thoughts, darling people, before I tell you my vision?
You want to hear my thoughts on your performance?
Well, not on my voice, obviously, but not in public anyway.
So,
but maybe on the sundries, the mise en scène, the situation around my own performance, the stage, perhaps, these things, and yes, as my poultry assistant said, security, I suppose, may be an issue. What are your thoughts, Professor?
well, first let me say that you are going to be missed a lot, Miss Ludovica, if you are leaving, but I will not hold you back from going away. I would still appreciate your company today, though, because I do agree that the guild is rather in a, well, alerted state at the moment, and having Miss Fiddlewick being so pristine and presentable at the stage might cause a little bit of a well, let's say uprising, probably of a few who would like to cause troubles. So having you around, Miss Möllenbeck, would be very, very much appreciated. I do want to point out that I have been contacted by, well, calling him a friend would be a little bit too much, but I have been contacted by someone I knew back in the days, who is well aware of the, well, abouts that are going to happen at the Opera House today. And I have someone I want to meet there. So even though you might think that this idea of yours is well kept, I think it has already reached some levels of informants who know about that. So I would be, a little bit of caution would be recommended.
Well, it must happen today. I should say that that's what's very important. You see, I have a copy of the Times here, and somewhere, hang on a moment, where is it? Oh yes, here, I have a copy of the Times. And it does say that there will be no rain at all for the next 3 days, as a matter of fact. So it's perfect weather for being seen in public, that's all I'm saying.
Also, if you have listened, Mr. Gravetigue, Miss Möllenbeck is going to leave tomorrow, so it has to happen today if we want her accompany us.
All right, I have decided. Montague, you will sort out the arrangements. Scarpati, you will sort out all that security nonsense. I will present myself at 7 o'clock tonight, and I will sing a song of such beauty and such truth as none could object to. And hopefully the guild will shatter like glass before my voice, but we'll see, I suppose. We will see. Cheers, everyone.
Cheers.
Well, I've heard worse plans. I like it.
Hortensia raises a toast, and as you wave at a person who is bringing you a glass, realizing that a place setting has not been made for Edward. The bill comes out, but the coins and the script on the table covers for the meal. As you disembark and leave the as you leave the cafe, you could hear the sounds of a commotion. People, sort of in discontent, shouting and carrying on. It's not too far away, as you could kind of hear that this voice is carrying from what you think might be the opera house.
My opera house?
Your opera house.
Well, I'm not on stage. So let's go find out who's taken my spot.
All right.
Start
Making-
charging towards the opera house like a steam train locomotive.
Making your way forward with your entourage in tow, you can see before you the large courtyard in front of the opera house, where a large collection of people have gathered around a makeshift stage that has been constructed by a person whose banner now it reads as presented by Saragard Gravemont, as it's sort of on this big banner written in large print. Standing on this stage, of course, is a woman that kind of looks like I guess a lumberer or a miner or a tradie, definitely, who stands with a couple of like toughs by their side, with a big sign with a guild sort of symbol crossed through it, as they begin to say, "We can't do this. We can't stand idly by and let the guild dictate how we run our government. The guild has money, sure, but we the people are the captains of industry. We the people are the ones who determine what gets made and what gets thrown under the rail. And we will not be thrown under the rail." And you hear people go, "Yeah!" Surrounding this courtyard of protesters appears about maybe 12 men and women dressed in these red uniforms, guild guardsmen who stand at the ready. They don't seem to be advancing on anyone, but they do definitely seem to be watching what's going on. Hortensia, you have no idea who this person on the stage that Edward, you have paid for, but quite clearly someone else has claimed credit for it, because that's sure as hell not your name up there. Yeah, this protest is underway.
I would like to look around and see if my contact is there.
Make me a notice check as you begin to scout the crowd, looking for any sign of someone who looks maybe a little bit out of place. Doesn't look like the working industry class.
Yeah, it's a 9.
A 9? With a 9, you do see quite a number of people who seem to be dressed in quite gentlemanly and feminine garbs. You don't recognize Nolan yet, but you kind of get the impression that perhaps he is indeed down there amongst some of the opera punters who have joined the rally, shoulder to shoulder with the grease monkeys of the factories. Even some children have turned out to protest as well. So yeah.
If I don't see him immediately, I would try to stand back and also say to Miss Fiddlewick, "Well, I think let's have Mr. Hartigue deal with that. Let's stay back for a moment there. This is one of the potential situations that your little lackey was talking about.
Yes, quite.
Let
This
the
looks like a
barista
legal
deal
matter.
with it." Yeah.
Indeed. Very wise, Professor.
That being said, someone has stolen Hortensia's stage from right underneath her.
Indeed, but do you know what? I'm not due to go on until 7. This woman isn't singing, so I'll forgive her. If she was singing, we would have a different conversation. But she's not.
No, I'm not doing it. Anyway, so very well. You make your way down forwards to become sort of mingle with the crowd, like not sort of go into the mosh of it, but sort of get to the outskirts. Slowly but surely, the guild start to talk to one another. You can see that there's this gentleman in kind of like this very, very prim and proper attire, yelling out, "Yes, of course! Down with those blighters who stopped us from attending the opera! The prima donna's performance shall carry on! Hurrah!" He says as someone who's next to him goes, Yeah, what that bloke said. You know, clearly you've got a mixing of cultures here. Some people say, "Did you hear they locked old Miss Havisham in her house this morning? Yeah, bolted it up straight away. They did. She protested, she kicked, she screamed. They wouldn't let her leave her house. Yeah, no. And I heard that they had shored all the fishing boats from the Thames. Like what? Like all of a sudden we don't need to make produce and try to go and find fish. This is an outrage. It is. And they've closed all the workhouses for the little kids. How are we supposed to provide ends meet for our families if we can't work? Because it's the early 1900s and kids worked. Okay, so you know, people outraging and protesting and the like. Could I have everyone make me a notice check as you hear the discontent stretching everywhere? All right. I love when I ask everyone to flip because then we just see like this cacophony of different cards just flying out of my deck. It's amazing. Okay, so what do we get? Starting with Ludovica.
15.
Billum.
That is a 11.
All right, Scar Party.
15 as well.
Edward.
8.
An 8. And Hortensia.
Well, I used my positive flip. Thank you very much, somebody, for that. And I have a 13.
13.
14. Sorry, a
14.
14. I beg your pardon.
14.
I notice everything.
Very well, very well. Okay, so with thanks to the advantage given by Player's Garden, by the way, very big thank you to you. You have managed to all except for Edward notice one particular chap, a blonde soldier from the guild, who appears to walk by what looks to be a sergeant. There's a crackle over the radio as you hear a voice coming from the other side. It says quite plainly and simply,
All right, listen in. The order has been given by the guild. We can't allow these protests to continue. The public space has become too flippant. We need to suppress and disperse this crowd immediately. Use of lethal force is authorized. I repeat, use of lethal force is authorized. Activating riot breakers.
And that is when we are going to retreat now a little bit, Miss Fiddlewick. I am
Yes.
responsible for your safety, and that didn't sound very promising.
Right,
Would you
I've
please
got
follow
a
me?
cease and desist letter here for you, Prima Donna. I'm going to make sure that they know that you are currently the one who should be up on that stage right now. This is your function, not their function. You're completely responsible for this action, not them at all. Shall I present it to them?
Just hold off on that if you would, Montague, just for one just tiny minuet of a moment, if you would. Thank you so much. Dr. John Scott, I beg your pardon, I misnomered you. Professor, what on earth is a riot breaker?
well,
What a riot breaker is.
Well, no sooner than Hortensia asks this question, does a horrible hiss seem to come from a nearby vehicle? A sort of a wagon like automotive with two huge drums on either side of this wagon. It's clearly a military vehicle of some kind. Opens to the side with this kind of gas of steam that just sort of pours outwards, from which several of these robots disembark from the vessel.
You see, Miss Fiddlewick, I have the strong feeling that those are the riot breakers. And although I would love to see how Mr. Gravedigue is going to, fight over his stage, I think we should inform him about the fact that we are going to die soon if we're not leaving.
Yes, I think retreat now and litigation later is probably the wise course of action.
Agreed. Who needs litigation? It's not our party, not our monkeys.
as you begin to make your way sort of away from the center of the crowd, you realize very quickly that these riot breakers have surrounded the courtyard. A booming megaphone stretches outwards from one of the riot breakers, which says in a very metallic voice, "Those citizens found here are in violation of guild law. Any resistance to the dispersal of this community gathering shall be met with violent, lethal force. Comply or be subdued."
Just a quick question. Are we, like, I assume that they are forming a circle, like they're enclosing us. Are we within the circle or are we still outside of it?
You are within the circle, but you
Oh,
are
shit.
towards the outer of it. So you're basically between the the protesters and the circle of robots. There are 4 of these robots. Not all of them are near you, mind you. Maybe 1 or 2 of them are in your close vicinity, each of which are accompanied by 2 guild guardsmen. You can hear the sound of the protester on the deck, who pretty much is yelling out, "Are we going to let them tell us what to do? They wouldn't dare fire upon us!" And that's, ladies and gentlemen, where we're going to end today's session, as we will come back next week and find out if indeed the guild will open fire on our protesters and our lovely fated characters. Thank you so much to everyone for coming and hanging out with us today. If you and the audience enjoyed this show, then don't hesitate to hit that donation button. A very special and big thank you to everyone who contributed to today's stream. A super big thank you to World Anvil, of course. Thank you for your donations, as well as, of course, from Players Garden. Thank you so much. Your contribution is, of course, very much appreciated. Before we sign out, of course, let's hear from our players and find out where we can find this talented cast of amazing people. Starting, of course, with Till. Tell us where to find you.
Oh, you can find us at www.dungeonfog.com. That's the website where you can create all the maps. And all the same throughout Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. It's always at Dungeon Fog.
Awesome, awesome. And of course, as you guys know, I am a Australian, hence the Dead Aussie Gamer thing. But if you want to see some really cool Aussie streaming, Anthony, why don't you tell them where we can find you and your awesome content?
You can find me and all my channel on Roll for Damage. That's twitch.tv/roll for damage, ROLE, in an hour's time.
There you go. Fantastic. So yeah, 1 hour's time. Go check it out. Of course, then we can't talk about good role playing and fantastic role players, of course, without talking about the great game master himself. Guy, tell us where to find you and all of your wonderful things.
You can find me on www.greatgamemaster.com, and that will link you through to all the various YouTube channels. And yeah, we've got streams happening on Saturday where World Anvil is a guest. As a matter of fact, we're building a campaign, and then live stream on Sunday, and then more on Wednesday, and more and more and more. Just everywhere. We're everywhere.
Awesome, awesome, absolutely fantastic. And of course, speaking of World Anvil, Janet, tell us all of your things.
So if you want to get started world building, writing a book, creating a campaign, or even just building a character, go to worldanvil.com right now, where you can get started with all of that for free. And you can also find us on social media at World Anvil. We stream 4 times a week on Twitch and YouTube with games and webinars and interviews. This week we're unpacking what is science fantasy with a $1 million best-selling author who also uses World Anvil. And yeah, if you want to see my stupid face, you can find that on YouTube as well, where I talk about world building, character creation, writing, GMing, and all that good stuff.
Incredible, incredible. And of course, for the many German role players or German-speaking role players out there in the world, Mighty, tell us where we can find all of your wonderful and awesome things.
Yeah, you can find our Twitch and our YouTube channel under Orkenspalter TV, which I'm going to drop in the chat in a second, because hardly anyone ever gets how it's written, even if they're German. And otherwise, you can find my social media under Mayri Stritter, which I'll also drop in chat because no one gets how that is spelled, especially Germans. So that's where I am at.
And you know what? I'm going to add an extra thing here. Like, as someone who has dropped in on Myri streams more than once, I got to say the community is super friendly, even to people who don't speak German. I've had the fans translate to English just because they wanted me to feel welcome. They're an amazing group of people. So even if you don't speak German, definitely check it out and brush up on your German as well. I mean, yeah, that's what I did. And of course,
it's a beautiful language.
It is a beautiful language, except when you're saying the word butterfly. Then that's horrifying.
Schmetterling?
Schmetterling. That sounds like a butterfly with a Gatling gun. Anyway, so anyway, I have been Michael, the Dead Aussie Gamer. You can find me pretty much anywhere you can type Dead Aussie Gamer. I do live streams and the like. And with me, of course, from behind the scenes is none other than the talented, the ever wonderful, the ever lovely editor, who you can find on Tabletop Explorers. And of course, lastly, we cannot have this show without giving a big shout out and a big thank you to the Mercs of Mischief for hosting us on their channel. Thank you so much, guys. We had a great time. We hope you guys had a great time, and hopefully we'll see you next week for episode 2 of Avalon Society London Falls. Till next time, from us to you, game hard or die trying. Bye-bye!